Hello and welcome back to Calathea. In the last episode, we built this zoo on the island in the north. It's got a lot of different topographical details with some hills, some dried up riverbeds, some lakes, and of course, lots of trees. The zoo has been super popular so far. It's about to hit level 5, it just needs a few more visitors, and then we'll have 4 completely maxed out parks. I put in a bus route after finishing filming the episode, and it has taken a few cars off the road, but it doesn't look like anyone's using the cable cars yet, and I'm wondering if I've done something wrong with it because no one seems to be using them. It's a shame because you get such a great view from the top of that hill. You get to see the whole park and most of the city as well. So either they have no interest in a cable car or I've done something wrong. In today's episode, we're going to be finishing off this island. We're going to be working on this northern part, and as I mentioned before, we're going to be pulling over another ferry line from this district up here. I'm going to be using lots of unique buildings and a monument, and this district is going to have a very wealthy but also eco-friendly kind of vibe. This district is going to be a combination of 2 other districts aesthetically. The first district being Primrose Heights. This district is full of mansions, there's a marina, every house has a swimming pool, and there's tons of open space which you just don't get in some of the other districts. This new district is also going to have elements from Azure Beach. This district is very eco-friendly. Most of the assets are from the Green Cities pack, and there's a nature reserve on the island. By combining these 2 districts together, we'll have a lot of high-tech buildings that have lots of green elements to them. There's going to be some housing and some commercial in the town centre, and then some more smaller assets along the beachfront. Lots of parks, some that we've used before and some that we haven't. The first thing that I'm going to do today is level out the ground and put the roadmap in. So here's a rough outline of what this district is going to look like. There's quite a few different separated pieces here. But like I mentioned earlier, there's going to be lots of large buildings, and I wanted them all to have their own space so they can be properly appreciated. Before I get stuck into building this district though, I'm going to put a ferry port in this district over here. I'm hoping this will take some pressure off of the existing ferry system over here because they are still very overrun. So anyone wanting to get to the north of the island from over here can jump on a ferry at this point rather than having to go all the way down to here. So the ferry line is in. The first ferry is just coming up to the pier now. It doesn't look like there's anyone waiting here yet, but as we build more stuff in the new district, I'm sure the stop will get busier. It's a bit of a steep road to get down to this ferry stop here, and I had to give it a solar panel covered car park just to give it some electricity. Hopefully it should be alright out here on its own. Now that I've got that in, I'm going to get stuck into building the rest of the district. So I think I'm finished with this district now. Because this is one of the last districts I'm doing, it's got a little bit of everything in here. It's obviously got the very green high-tech buildings with the Eden project, the floating gardens and the ziggurat over here, but the housing style is a little bit all over the place, but that was intentional. So let me take you on a little tour. I've hidden a lot of the electricity sources over here because I couldn't find any that really went with this district style, and there's no industry down here, so I couldn't even hide it away down there. So I've gone with a few of these content creator wave power plants and then one singular turbine to make it look like that's doing all the work. Down here is the Eden Project monument with a few tropical plazas and then a couple of parks from the hotels and retreats pack. And then we get down here into the town. So the low density housing is mainly mansion type houses like Primrose Heights, but less mid-century modern and a little bit more Art Deco, and also some of the McMansions that come with the game. So it is a lot of the same assets repeated over and over, but I don't think it's really that noticeable because they're always in different configurations. Down here is the primary and secondary school from the Green Cities DLC with a few sports related parks around them. I just realised we've got 3 basketball courts here and somehow they're all different assets. I can't believe I didn't notice that while I was doing it. I feel a little bit embarrassed that I've got 3 of the same thing there. But anyway, through here is the town centre. There's a little bit of high density and some housing that looks high density but it's actually low, like these pieces here and some of these ones in this section here. There's a little bit of commercial here. I actually didn't end up doing that much commercial at all. I've got 4 commercial buildings here, but some of them are high density, and with a lot of the other districts, the high density commercial has struggled to get goods in, and I thought we're on an island here, there's only one cargo connection with the train line, so I don't want to overload them, and there's tons and tons of commercial down that way. So if people need to get to jobs or if they want to go shopping, then there's more than enough commercial down here for them to get to. There's a lot of odd gaps, so I filled some of them with these little planters. These are brick ones, and it kind of matches these residential assets here. I really love these, and I haven't had a chance to use them yet, so I thought I would try and carry that theme through. There's some solar panel covered car parks just to boost the grid a little bit, and then some of these medium height, high density buildings across the back with some more plazas, and there's some pathways underneath the concrete as well. I kind of just chucked all of the services along one side. I wasn't quite sure what to do with them, and this space was going to be awkward for any housing, so I thought I would just put a crematorium, a medical centre, fire department, police department and an elder care facility all in one row. There's lots and lots of housing down here. Most of it is custom from the workshop, but then some of it is vanilla. I haven't really used these McMansions that come with the base game anywhere else in Calathea yet, so I thought I'm gonna use them in my last district and go a little bit crazy. What houses look like this in real life? Like, that is not a house, that looks like a medical centre. And this one over here is just, I've never seen a house like that in real life. Actually, no, that's a lie. I have seen a house like that in real life, and it was the house that Justin Bieber was living in for a while in Los Angeles. And I remember driving past it and thinking it was some sort of college or university, and then I found out that it was Justin Bieber's house, and I kind of get where the inspiration for these houses comes from now thinking about that, because it didn't look like a home at all. But most of these houses are really beautifully detailed. You might recognise some of these from Primrose Heights. They've got beautiful gardens, and I tried to mostly use ones that had fences or hedges along the back so that when you go down this main road you're not looking into people's gardens. Obviously there are a couple that don't have them, but the majority of them do. There's one road that goes all the way along the beachfront. There's loads of these functioning beach assets that I've used everywhere else in Calathea. They're drawing in a huge amount of tourists, which isn't surprising, so it's kind of putting pressure on the traffic in this district, but it's not too bad yet. A lot more of the same houses down here. I used a few smaller ones as well because I wanted to have that kind of beach hut kind of feel. So there are a few really small houses dotted in here, but the majority of them are quite big. And then down here is a very small row of beach related commercial assets. I'm looking back at it now, it does look very thrown together, but I haven't really got to use these anywhere else so far because they're so tiny and everywhere else that's had a beach has had really huge assets, so these kind of felt out of place, so I wanted to make sure I used them somewhere. There's a bar, a gym, a little container cafe and a pool, and then down here is a couple of the floating garden unique buildings. I've never actually used these in any of my games before, but they are really gorgeous. I love the detailing in them, and they go so well with these kind of really futuristic eco buildings. Down here is a marina hotel park from the workshop. It's not really functional, boats don't come in and out, but it's a really big asset and it looks really great in this bay. And then out the front is a couple of the sidewalk restaurants from the hotels and retreats pack. I created a little bit of a plaza in the middle here, but it's off center because the pathways come out of the back of these assets to one side, and it is kind of bugging me that it's all off to one side, but I really can't be bothered to go back and change it at this point. So we're just gonna leave it being a bit wonky and try and ignore it. Down here is the Ziggurat Garden unique building and a university. Now you can't really see how nice this university is because it's got its back to the sun. It's got some really lovely green detailing, and so far the only university we have in Calathea is all the way down next to Primrose Heights, and it's the Liberal Arts campus. So I thought we should probably have another university somewhere just to give people options, and it has been quite busy so far. I think they're nearly 1,000 students, so I'm kind of surprised about that because the campus has been struggling to get enough students in, but maybe they need a choice. I did a little bit of detailing around here. There's a bandstand, a couple of benches, and a castle ruin asset down here. Obviously they're not really functional, so people won't really have any reason to come down here, but it looks as if you can come and sit on this lower piece and you're basically looking out over the edge of the world here. There's nothing out in that direction, so it's a nice little peaceful haven away from everything else in the city. Same with this bit down here. I don't think people will come down here, there's no reason for them to, but it looks nice. And then down here is obviously the harbour. It's very busy so far, and I haven't added in any public transport to this district yet, so I think I'm going to add a bus route in just so that we don't have so many people walking up this road. So I've added in a couple of bus routes, but I've also added a metro to the island. The green bus route here goes down to the ferry harbour and then just does a quick loop around the square, and the pink route goes up to the zoo and then up to Central District and all the way back again. The metro line has a stop in this district in the north, one at the zoo, one in the main district, and then one in the southern district as well. The metro line should allow people to get from one place to another really quickly without having to worry about getting on the roads, but there's also plenty of other options if people would rather take a bus, and of course there is the cable car if anyone wants to finally use it. The ferries have been really popular so far. Every boat is completely full, and as you can see there's a load of people waiting for the bus here, so I'm glad that I put in this second ferry line. I'm hoping that it's taken some pressure off of the one to the south. The buses in the town square are both fairly busy as well. I find that bus routes that go around districts tend to be a lot busier than ones that go in between, but obviously this district is still new, so it won't have really settled down just yet. So that's today's build complete. And this is the last residential district that I'm doing in Calathea. We have one episode left to go before Cities Skylines 2 comes out next week, and the last episode is going to be a park. If you watched the first episode of this series, you'll know that I drew a plan of everything that I wanted to do with this map, and I think I've nearly finished all of it. Obviously there is still a lot of empty space, and that will be filled in over time, but all of the theme builds apart from one have now been completed. And I've even added in a new one in the process because I didn't have the plazas and promenades pack when I started. Let me know what you think of today's build. I'll be back on Sunday for the last episode of Calathea. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.